That was quite a climb. Even after years of living in the forest, it's still difficult to climb up a mountain. But I love the mountains. It's all worth it. You know, after a few years on the Dragon's Path, after a few years that I was living in the city, and I just had to be in a place where the dragons are, because whenever I feel the dragon, I feel nature, I feel the beauty of nature, I feel the beauty of the dragon. I just so much connected to each other, and that is why the reason why I decided to live in the forest, in the mountains, here in the south part of Belgium. So yeah, and so after all of these years, I became a witch, a witch, a self-proclaimed witch, because after a while, it's just the same reason why I made my altar. I never intended to make my altar, but after a while I said, oh, it looks like an altar. And after I did so many rituals and so many reaching out for the dragon and so much witchcraft and magic, that I said to myself after a while, oh, you're doing witchcraft. Maybe you're a witch. And it's all in order for the dragon, all for them. So after a while I just became a dragon witch, but all for the dragon. And I am also a grey witch. We are all grey witches. Grey witches are people that doesn't decide in darkness or light. We don't decide it, but it's more to it. The most famous color of a witch is a green witch. The most witches that uses herbs and uses healing herbs, to heal people with it. They have all the knowledge of all the herbs and all of the plants here in, for example, the forest here, so that they can create herbs. Of course, they were sentenced to death because they said it's something of Satan or bullshit like that, of course, but it's not, of course. And the reason why we call ourselves Grey Witch is not only because we are connecting darkness and light, whatever it suits us. That is typically of the dragon, of course. Whenever it suits us, we use it. That is typically of the dragon, but there is much more to it. A witch, or in our case, a Grey Witch. You know, what we all are is the same as Jesus. and a lot of people would say, oh wow, that is just insane, just like Jesus. But hear me out. In many cases, like my cases, I was awakened by the dragon when I was 18 years old. I had a lot of experience in 17 years in seeing the dragon realm, in seeing the void, in seeing the spirits, in seeing the dragons, in seeing much more than the dragon, in seeing how this universe is, how the universes are. We, for example, I came to find out that we belong in the fifth gate. The fifth gate is where the dragon's gate is. The dragon's gate is guarded by Leviathan. Leviathan is one of the dragon gods, and also one that guards the rivers and the seas and the water in itself. Water in itself is dragon's blood, blood of Tiamat, another dragon goddess. And the things, blood is inside of us. Without dragon blood, we die. Without the waters of Leviathan, we die. And also Quetzalcoatl, for example, Q in short, or Tiamat, not Tiamat, but Fafnir. Fafnir is a fire inside of us, and also the air inside of us, of Q. But the things to know all of this, it demands that you might see a couple of things, that you know a couple of things. Whenever I was connecting with my dragon, I opened so many gates. I was not only opening gates, I was having a lot of experience on the dragon's path, and I had a lot of answers to a lot of questions that I had, because I was devoting my life to the dragon. But in doing so, I was devoting in doing magic, grey magic. I was devoting in being one with the dragon and being one with my own grey self. And so that is also where the Grey Witch comes from. The Grey Witch doesn't have to have knowledge of herbs or plants or whatever. The Grey Witch is someone who is awakened, someone who has a complete idea of how the universes work. And those are the people that uses magic to reach out for their gods, and to reach out for their spirits, and to reach out for their star, their gates. And that is what Grey Witches do. In order to do so, they don't decide between darkness and light. They are doing whatever fits them. And that is typically the same thing with the dragon. The dragon doesn't decide between dark and light, but as well as the dragon follower, the dragon witch, the grey witch, doesn't decide between darkness and light. They just become one with where they are born to, with their makers. There are, none of us belong here. None of us do. Not humans, not animals, none of us belong here. But fate decided that we are all coming together to this physical realm, here in this one universe, that it's physical, not spiritual. That we all come together, and a lot of people just don't know the question, so they follow someone else in what they are calling experiences all together. But that is a lie. That is a lie, because we are all divided. We are all coming from another place, and I can feel this. And that is typically when you are a grey witch. You can feel all of the different energies with every human or animal, and sometimes animals, they can sense it. They can sense the dragon with you. They can do this. They can sense the grey energy. And that is what I believe that could be happening with this Jesus guy, that I am completely black, he was completely white, he was doing magic, I'm doing magic, he was telling about his God, I'm telling about my God. So in fact, what is the difference? That I see black as all the powers at once, and I see white as nothing, as empty. That might be the only difference. Whenever the dragon came to me, he came in black color, and I was immediately intrigued in the black color of the dragon, so I wanted to be like him. That is actually what a grey witch is. A grey witch is one that has a lot of experience with their places, and that is also why I can call myself like Jesus, because, and that is a lot of us. That is not only me. That is what we all are. And what was Jesus trying to do? To talk about God, talk about the spirits, talk about what should be, and all of these guys that are being intrigued, they are the followers of it. I'm not saying that you have to follow me by any means necessary. Of course not. The only thing that you need to do is to follow your own instincts and your own will and your own desire. That is the only thing that, if you are intrigued by the dragon, I'm not the one to follow, but the dragon is. The dragon by your side. The dragon is the one to follow. And that is where grey witches come from. And I believe, and maybe this might be controversial, that Jesus was a grey witch. Jesus was also one that was awakened by his God and his star and his gate, that he wanted to tell the world about it. Of course, like back in the day, it was all Judaism that was ruling the world. If you're not following them, you are easily being condemned to death. That is also what happened to a lot of witches and a lot of grey witches. They are condemned to death back in the Middle Ages because they had different visions, they have different ideas, because their gate was somewhere else, and that was so unfair of humans to not be having this open mind for where they are coming from. Where are they coming from? They come from a different star. They come from a different gate. We are coming from a different gate. We come from the Dragon's Gate. Of course, I don't ask anyone to follow this, but if you are intrigued to this, you have to follow your own dragon. The dragon that is with you. Of course, this Jesus man might have this God that everyone has a universal rule. Well, in the Dragon's Path, it's different. And that is also why it's so different in the Dragon's Path. And that is why I can say it might be, and that a lot of people say, you have to follow Jesus at my job, at my family. But actually, I am like him. I'm closer than you think. And you are as well. Because you are also having these experiences about your star, your gate. You are experiencing the dragon where you belong, the fifth gate. So you know a couple of things. And that is how you become a grey witch, because you mix all of it together. And you use the magic and maybe even witchcraft to reach out for them. And that is how you become a grey witch, because you follow your instincts, you follow your mind, you follow your experiences, and you might want to tell it to other people that what I believe what happened back in the day, if Jesus was real, that he talked about it, about his experiences, and he never said he was God itself, that they made out of it, they made it out of it, but he said it's like this, and whoever likes it have to follow it. That is exactly the same thing that I'm trying to do. Because I've seen the gate. I've seen the star. I've seen the dragon star. I've seen the dragons themselves. So naturally, I want to tell the world about it. But if I'm not telling them to follow it, it's just in case that you're awakened by it, that you are loving it. In this case, you might want to follow it if you want. And I'm not telling you, for example, if you don't follow if you don't follow your own instincts and your own minds, and if you follow this entire religion, it might be, and that is what is so, can I say it, fucked up about it. You are here born with the angels by your side, with the angels with you. In our case, the angels are dragons that are by our side. Whenever our time here is up, our time has come to find our gate again. Oh wow, nice bell. And so the worshippers of Jesus, middle of the forest. That is coincidence that you can hear. What I just want to say, in this, whenever, where was I? Whenever, of course. Whenever you are born here on this world, you have angels by your side. They all know the way back where you belong, where the gate is, where your star is. And so if all of these religions say, you have to do this, and ditch Satan, everything else is Satan, then they might ditch their own angels, their own guardians. And that is so, fucked up about it. That is fucked up about religion. That is fucked up about all of this that say that they know Jesus. That is not fair at all. So that a lot of them, ditch their own angels. For example, that we ditch our own dragons in order to follow them, just for power and wealth. And that is so bad about us. So we become grey witches because we are deaf for them. We are experiencing our own path, our own angels, our own gods. We are experiencing everything about our own gods. And that is what you need to do to be a grey witch.